So today, this is a concept that I really want you to get. If you get this concept down, you can apply this concept to every single area of your life. Doesn't matter what it is. You can apply this concept to your savings. You can apply this concept to the reading of the Word. You can apply this concept toward going toward whatever goal you set a couple of months ago. It does not matter what you apply it to, but if you apply it properly, you will get there. This is a concept. It's very, very simple. It's very, very simple. And the concept is one that's found throughout the Bible, is one that's found throughout any type of literature that you're going to read regarding being successful, regarding saving money, regarding being financially free. It's the same thing. It's woven throughout. And I'm going to make it very, very simple. I did not come up with this term. I wish I had have, but I didn't. And the term is called the slight edge. I'll say the slight edge. Slight edge is very, very simple in that if you are to travel along a particular road long enough, you will eventually get there. Now, I know that's kind of common sense, right? But I want y'all to think about something. How many of y'all in here play piano? Anybody play piano? Okay, good. How many of y'all don't play piano? Wonderful. Okay, so let's just say we take you and you take somebody who is a professional concert pianist. Right? And they're on in their years. They may be 60 or 70 years old, and they've been doing this for a long time. But let's go all the way back to when they were 8 years old. You're 8 years old. They hadn't played piano before. You hadn't played piano before. There's no difference in the two. One gets on the piano and bangs around. The other gets on the piano and bangs around. There's no difference. The only difference is that particular day, later that night, that little gentleman decides he's going to spend 15 minutes practicing on this piano. Now, does 15 minutes make a concert pianist? As a matter of fact, if you looked at it the next day, probably still wouldn't be too much different between you and him that has practiced for 15 minutes, right? And day two, he decides he's going to practice for 15 minutes, and probably still there's no difference in day 3 and day 10 and day 33. Day 33, there may be a slight difference. Maybe he can play hot cross buns or something, but probably not a lot of difference. He's had maybe a few hours worth of, maybe 10 hours worth of practicing when you have none. It's still not a big difference, but over 40 or 50 years, that creates a concert pianist. It's a big difference over 40 and 50 years. I sat down with a couple just yesterday, and we talked about money. We were talking about saving, and we talked about the amount of money, and really that the amount of money really doesn't make a difference. We just talked about it over long periods of time. And they had a daughter, and the daughter isn't even 1 yet. And we said, you know what? We took an infinitesimal amount of $2.50. Okay, we said if you took $2.50, you can find $2.50. You know, somebody will give you $2.50. You can go somewhere and the people begging on the street make more than $2.50. Just beg somebody, just give them $2.50, right? $2.50 is not. We took the rough amount of a price of a gallon of gas, $2.50. So if we took $2.50 and threw it in an account and kept it there, and we calculated that if we kept it there until she was 18, what would happen is that baby would have $30,000 from $2.50 a day. Now, $2.50 a day is not a lot of money, okay? If I save $2.50 today and you don't save anything, at the end of the day, I'm $2.50 richer. Is that a lot of money? No. At the end of 2 days, I'm $5 richer. Whoop-de-doo. Not a whole lot of difference. In other words, those people who are on that track, that slight edge track, in the beginning, there's not going to look like a whole lot of difference at all. It's going to look just like somebody who's doing nothing at all, right? You want to make sure that you're not the one that's. Let me back up and tell you another concept around the slight edge. Just like it's easy to put $2.50 away. You can take $2.50 and put it you can put it in a jar and put it. It's not hard to do, right? It's very easy to do. But you know what? It's easy not to do too. Very easy not to do. You know, I remember when my wife woke up one day and she seen me doing sit-ups and push-ups. You know, I was getting it too, man. It was impressive. You know, sweating and everything. You know, she was like, "Wow." She said, "You do this every morning?" I said, "Yeah." You know, because I wake up before she does. And we got to talking about it, and I said, if you had seen when I first started, you wouldn't find it so impressive. She said, why is that? I said, because day one, you know what I did? I got down on the floor. I did one squat. Got down on the floor, I did one push-up. Got on my back, and I did one sit-up. Then I got up, got dressed, and went to work. If you had seen that, that looked like a bunch of mess, right? Like, what's that supposed to do? Yeah, is that? Am I going to be a bodybuilder because I did one sit-up, one push-up? That's nothing. You know what I did the next day? 2. I did 2 sit-ups, 2 push-ups, 2 squats. Took all of about a minute. That was my workout. You know, people say you got to work out 30 minutes a day or an hour a day. I was on that 1 minute. Then the day after that, you know what I did? Did 3. And then 4. And 5. And 6. And every day my mentality was very simple. I can at least do one more than I did yesterday. I did this yesterday. So I just add one to it. It's no big deal. And over time, all types of things. Endurance started building up. My health got better. All kind of things happened. Why? Because I was just doing one thing a day. I wasn't trying to bench press 350 pounds. I just did one thing. Now, here's the thing about the slight edge. It's very, very interesting, is that you cannot stay still. You're always moving toward a destination. It's either one that's going to benefit you or one that doesn't. So, for example, we have said that none of you guys play piano, right? So you're going to be a non-piano playing person, right? You're either going to be able to play or you're not. You're either going toward that arena or you're not. You're either going to win with money or you're not. You're either going to win with your goals or you're not. There is no in between. There is no stagnation. There is no stop. There is no, I'm just going to wait here. No, you're always moving toward one of 2 destinations. So the thing is, where is your path leading to? Right? I remember every day, my last book, I wrote the entire thing, y'all. Every day I woke up early in the morning. By 4:30, 5 o'clock every morning. I went out into the bathroom. I sat down on the toilet. I had my little setup right there. I put the laptop there, and I wrote every morning. Sometimes I just wrote a paragraph. Sometimes it'd be a whole chapter. Right there on the toilet. Every morning. Sometimes it was only 15 minutes. Sometimes it was 30 minutes. Sitting right there where it was quiet, where nobody could bother me. Nobody's up at that time in the morning in my house anyway. And I sat there and I wrote. Now, it took some months. I wrote the entire thing, right? Because every day I made one step toward that destination. The first movie that I ever wrote, I wrote it in between calls while I was working at Microsoft in 1995. Now, something happened in 1995 at Microsoft. They released Windows 95. Needless to say, I didn't have much time between calls, sometimes only seconds. But I wrote the entire movie. From the very first intro to the last period between calls, slight edge, making those little bitty steps. Now, granted, when I first sat down the first day and started writing the movie, and in between calls at the end of the day, all I had was 3 sentences, that doesn't look too much different from somebody who hadn't written anything, right? But look at that over 2 months. You know, when I've got half the movie written. Look at it over 4 months when all of the first draft is done. Slight edge. Now that works no matter what you want to do. You want to be a chef. Will is a chef. Actually doesn't want to be a chef. He is a chef. Okay, that's what he does. He's a phenomenal cooker, as my daughter would say. And let's just say that every day, that he got up and he emailed the top chefs in the world. He just picked a chef, wrote him. Hey, was looking at you. I admire you. Great thing. All I want is 5 minutes. Just want some advice. Okay, and he did that every day for 2 years. That's over 700 chefs he would have written. And how many of them do you think would actually say, yeah, I'll give you a few minutes to give you some advice? How many? I just came back from the James Beard, whatever. It's like the Grammys for chefs in the country. I was flying out early Sunday morning, Saturday night at midnight. I looked at all the nominees. These are all the top chefs in the country. I looked at all of them, got online at midnight the night before I'm leaving, and wrote them all and said, would you spend a few minutes with us, give us some advice? All of them said yes. We met with all of them. Now imagine doing that every day. And let's just say it was only 10%. That's 70 of the top chefs in the world advising you. Do you think that'd be beneficial? Do you think it'd be advantageous? Apply that slight edge to anything you want. Now here's the cold part. Right now, it's being applied to your life regardless. Regardless. It's easy to pick up the Bible and read a chapter of Psalms. So a chapter of Psalms is like this. It's like 5 sentences, right? It's easy to pick up a book, the Bible, and read a chapter of Psalms. It's easy. It's very, very easy. It's easy to do. It's easy not to do. Okay? Imagine if you said, you know what, here's what I'm going to do. Every day, I'm going to do 2 things. When I wake up, I'm going to spend the first 15 minutes of my day reading the Old Testament. Before I go to sleep, I'm going to spend the last 15 minutes of my day reading the New Testament. 15, that's 30 minutes a day. It's not a whole lot. Okay? Depending on how fast a reader you are, your first day, you might not make it through Genesis 1. Okay? And if you're going to sleep at night and you're reading the New Testament, and you start with Matthew 1, I promise you, you won't finish Matthew 1 before you go to sleep. Because you're going to fall asleep in those begats somewhere, boy. So begat so-and-so, begat so-and-so. You're going to wake up tomorrow and have to do it again. But imagine if you did that every day. How long have you been saved? $40 years. Okay, 40 years. I want you to think about this. In 40 years, every single year, if he did that every day, 15 minutes a day, or which is really 30 minutes a day, 365 days, okay, that is about 180 hours of reading the Bible, okay? Multiply that by 40. 7. I gotta do that math. Hold on a second, so I don't mess this up. If we take 180 hours and we multiply that by 40 years, that's 7,200 hours that you would have spent reading your Bible. 7,200. Isn't that true? You said 72,000? It says 7,200. Did I get it wrong? 180 times 40. No, 7,200. 7,200 hours. That's a lot of hours. 7,200 hours on 15 minutes in each one. We're not talking about an 8-hour study of the Bible. We're not talking about an in-depth anything. We're not talking about if you actually spent an hour a day reading. That'd be over 14,000, wouldn't it? Yeah, 14,600. They said if you spend 10,000 hours doing anything, you are considered the top of the top expert in it. 10,000 hours. Imagine that. Slight edge. Now, once again, 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening. That's not a whole lot. But over 40 years, 7,200. I mean, you would know this Bible inside and out. Imagine that. Apply that to anything. You want a new pattern? You say, I'm going to spend 30 minutes a day working on this. At the end of a year, oh my God. You spend 180 hours working on it. It does not matter what you apply it to. What matters is that you apply it. Find the goal. Work towards the goal. If your goal is losing weight, one little thing every day, moving toward that. One little thing every day. Your first day might be just Googling things, people that lost weight. Contacting them. That's a step in that right direction. What did you do? How'd you work this out? You want to preach all over the place. Start Googling, hey, where can I preach? Imagine if every day you got some new cards printed up every day. You say, you know what? I'm going to make sure that 3 places that are eligible for me to preach, I'm going to make sure that 3 of them have this card. Not 100, 3. Okay? 3 is easy. 1, 2, 3. 3 places near the house. Boom. Next day, I'm going to do 3 more. Just 3. At the end of the year, that's over 1,000 people that you've contacted. Got to make some new cards. Over 1,000. You see, we're just talking about a year. Multiply that by how long you been preaching? Period. You didn't just start preaching when you got here. Multiply that by 30 years. That would be 30,000 people that know that this joker right here, this Kent, he can preach whatever we need. He can counsel. He can, whatever we need, he can come and do it. He can marry people. He can, let's say you were ordained for 30 years. 30,000 people. Think about that. I applied that slight edge to my band. And we were able to do all types of stuff all over the country. I didn't even know that's what I was doing. I wasn't the best saxophone player. I wasn't the best anything, really. I just started applying and said, you know, this is where I want to go, and I'm gonna make. I had people I wanted to play with. They were my idols growing up, and I made slight edges. You know, I started looking for when they were coming to town. I started looking for getting on their mailing list. I started looking, trying to get on these shows and get on that show, and next thing you know, boom, I was there. It works, especially when you got God on your side. When you're trying to do something that for Him. Oh my God, if you're trying to bring out the gift that He put inside of you, guess what? It's multiplied. It's not 1,000 people a year. It'll be 20,000 a year, and half of them will be people that will be able to take you to the whole next level. Why? Because He put that in you, so He's going to draw whatever He needs to be around you. He's going to make sure and do that. Now here's what we've got to do. We've got to take that step. Okay? We got to take that step. We can't, just like, once again, it's easy to do, it's easy not to do. I want you to think about all the things, I've talked to y'all. Y'all want some stuff in y'all life. You know, y'all want some stuff. Y'all want God to do some stuff. You know, so I'm glad you're here because y'all want God to do some stuff. You know, y'all want to take care of homeless people and get them jobs, and y'all want to feed the world, and y'all want to clothe the world. I mean, y'all want to do some stuff. You know. Well, we're gonna have to take that slight edge. As a church, we're taking the slight edge, little bitty things at a time. Y'all, every Sunday we spend 15 to 20 minutes with y'all getting trained, right? Every Sunday. Okay. Now understand that even though while I take people through the training, we're actually getting ready to have a formalized thing where we take about 100 people through maybe 10% of what y'all do, and it's $500. And y'all will get this every week for every year. So at the end of the year, that's 52 sessions of this that you've gone through. They go through 12 a year. Y'all went through 52. It's a wonderful thing. Slight edge. I want to make sure, hey, we start training this. Before I start training y'all, I start training some other people. Slight edge. It started little bitty. It started big. It didn't start with a business. It started a little bit. Okay? That's why the Bible says don't despise small beginnings. Started a little bitty. Jesus started a little bitty. He was a little bitty when he started. Okay? Well, he wasn't a little bitty when he ended. Doesn't matter where you start. It matters where you end up. If you take that slight edge, you can get to where you're trying to go. Amen?